I am starting to hate society. I want a small town with a buffer from far too many human beings. Today we're looking at places that might fit the far from humans part of that. That's right, we're looking at secluded towns. Towns are secluded in different ways. Distance and accessibility. Accessibility normally comes in the form of something like mountains, islands, restraining orders, or forests. In the past, we did videos on the most secluded towns or villages in the United States. Today we will be traveling across the Atlantic and take a look at Europe's most secluded towns. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Ushguli, Georgia. While there's always a bit of a debate whether Georgia belongs in Europe or Asia, one thing is for sure, I couldn't leave Ushguli off this list. Ushguli is the foothills of Georgia's highest mountain, Mount Shkata. This cluster of tiny villages sits at a breathtaking 2,100 meters above sea level, making it the highest permanently inhabited place on the continent. And as if the altitude wasn't enough to keep things interesting, it's also one of the most remote spots you'll ever come across. This place is like medieval. The homes look like they've housed like 20 generations of a single family type thing. For more than half a year, Ushguli is buried under a thick blanket of snow, with just a single rugged road serving as the lifeline to the outside world. This extreme isolation has drawn in monks, artists, and anyone else who thrives on solitude and a good dose of dramatic scenery. If peace and quiet is what you're after, winter here might just be your dream season. But soon after the snow melts and summer rolls in, Ushguli transforms. The once inaccessible foothills open up and suddenly the whole region becomes a paradise for hikers and adventurers. Trails run through just miles and miles of lush green valleys, past ancient stone towers, and into the heart of the Caucasus Mountains. Now, if you want to move here, I couldn't find much information on if they sell homes here or anything like that. But I will tell you, foreigners can buy real estate in Georgia, excluding agricultural land, with the same rights as Georgian citizens. If you want to move in there, you're probably going to have to talk to the locals. If you bring enough firewood, I'm sure they'll just give you a place. Number 9, Bulnes, Spain. I gotta tell you up front, I'm not the best at pronouncing a lot of different things, so if I get it off a little bit, cut me some slack, please. I'm trying. Deep inside the Picos de Europa mountains, Bulnes is the definition of off the beaten path. For the longest time, the only way to get here was a steep, winding hike through the mountains. Then in 2001, the modern world arrived with a 2.2 kilometer funicular showed up. If you don't know what that is, it's one of those like trains that go up a hill back and forth. And that now takes visitors through the mountain tunnel in just 8 minutes. Even though it got a little more convenient to get there, Bulnes is still one of the most remote places in Spain, with a population of just 22 people. I also saw on Wikipedia, it said that they had 34, so it's below 50. So your Tinder options are very limited. You look on there, there's like 2 people, they're both 74. A man and a woman, come to find out they divorced last year. Now they're trying to date. And the only people they got options with are each other. They swipe left on each other a couple times a day. So it's isolated, it's not populated, but that's part of its charm. Bulnes is a haven for mountaineers and nature lovers who come to soak in the stunning landscapes and tackle the surrounding hiking trails. It's also famous for its local specialty, Cabrales blue cheese. An intensely flavored blue cheese aged in nearby mountain caves. There are no cars here, just cobblestone streets lined with charming stone houses, making you feel like it's frozen in time. It kind of looks like that too. I mean, not just the buildings, the surrounding area. It's like, I don't know, it's really beautiful. I don't know, this one seems kind of cool. I'd probably live there. I like blue cheese. Number 8, Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland. If you've ever dreamed of stepping straight into a postcard, Lauterbrunnen is the place to go. Situated in a deep valley between sheer cliffs and surrounded by the Alps, this Swiss village looks more like something out of a fairy tale than an actual real-world village. But it's not just the lush grass and the Swiss architecture that gets Lauterbrunnen a reputation for being beautiful. It's the waterfalls. A staggering 72 of them cascade down the valley's rugged cliffs. The most famous being Staubuck Falls, which plunges nearly 300 meters in a spectacular freefall. Hope that's how you pronounce it. I looked at it like 4 different times and people pronounce it weird or really fast, couldn't understand them. Now, this town is remote, but it isn't terribly hard to get to. It's just way up in the mountains. I mean, most of Switzerland is in the mountains, but this one's a little far away. A scenic train ride can get you there, or a very beautiful road trip. In the summer, the valley is a hiker's paradise, with trails leading to alpine meadows, quaint mountain huts, and jaw-dropping viewpoints. And in the winter, skiing turns the entire place into a snowy wonderland, attracting skiers, snowboarders, and lovers of all things cozy, like hot chocolate and a chubby spouse. If you're looking for everything Switzerland, like, outdoor adventure, a touch of Swiss charm, and breathtaking scenery, Lauterbrunnen is a good place to visit. Problem is, you probably won't want to leave. Switzerland's always been like one of my favorite places in Europe. It's like, of all of them, Portugal and Switzerland and maybe Austria are the first places I'd want to live. Maybe Monaco if I ever became disgustingly rich. Number 7, Heligoland. Imagine a tiny windswept island in the middle of the North Sea, sitting about 70 kilometers off Germany's mainland, Germany's only high seas island. Heligoland is home to about 1,300 people and a fascinating slice of history. Despite its small size, the island has played a bigger role in shaping Germany than you'd probably expect. For starters, it's the birthplace of Germany's national anthem, Das Lieder der Deutschen. Over the centuries, Heligoland has passed through multiple hands like some form of treasure. After spending over 76 years under British rule, Germany struck a rather unusual deal in 1890. It swapped Zanzibar, a whole African colony, to get Heligoland back. Not exactly even trade, but Germany saw the island as a strategic asset. This importance came at a cost. World War II, this place turned into a bombing target. Out there by itself, the British and the Americans were thick with bombs. They were just itching to drop on places. It's like Eisenhower and Chamberlain are together and they're thinking, you know what? We haven't bombed Germany a couple of days. Why don't we head on over to Heligoland and remind them we're still here? Bombs start dropping, dudes in lederhosen start running for shelter. Now, the island is sort of made up of 2 islands. One has all the people on it, and then Heligoland Dune, or however they pronounce that, is where you will find their airport. I was watching one video about it, and this guy said, why don't they let cruise ships go there? I was like, imagine a cruise ship pulling out, 3,000 people come wandering into a town of about 1,200. They just show up for the day. It's a beautiful place, and you could buy some real estate here. I just poked around on some website that's a real estate website for them, and they have homes there for about 400,000, about as low as 400,000, I should say. And they're really nice, but the really nice ones are over $1 million. Like every single one of them, it just has a perfect view of the ocean. Now, one reason people do go to visit there, it's kind of a cute place, but also they have a World War II bunker that's 5 stories. They also have bird colonies and, of course, the colorful houses. So yeah, seeing that this is Germany's only deep ocean island and community, I guess you could say, definitely secluded. Number 6, Mykines, Faroe Islands. The Faroe Islands are already pretty much remote, but Mykines takes it to another level. This rugged island, the westernmost in the archipelago, has a year-round population of just 10 people. Yes, you read that right, 10 people, and a bunch of puffins. You move here, you got like 3 drinking buddies to choose from. Getting here isn't easy. Your options are a seasonal ferry that runs from May to August, or an outrageously expensive helicopter ride. If that doesn't scream remote, nothing does. And the helicopter ride is sort of seasonable too. If the winds are too strong, it ain't taking off. I mean, it could, but it'd come right down about as quick, probably about a mile away. I've been in a helicopter that's got hit by a gust of wind before. Whoo, that is uncomfortable. But despite its inaccessibility, Mykines is famous for its thriving puffin colony and breathtaking lighthouse, perched dramatically on a neighboring inlet. A narrow footbridge connects the mainland, providing you the most scenic and slightly nerve-wracking walk to the lighthouse. But about half the year, this place is a ghost town, with only 6 houses actually inhabited in the winter. But come summer, thousands of adventure seekers will show up to just bother the locals and probably pay them for the year. Now, it is an island, but it's not a tropical island, so don't bring your swim shorts, unless you want to join one of those polar bear clubs. Number 5, Vadnes, Norway, and I hope that's how you pronounce it. I looked for hours, I couldn't find it. Tried to find a Norwegian guy I used to play hockey with named Ivar. Couldn't find his number. But way up in Norway's far north, perched on the edge of this barren landscape, sits our small town, which is a tiny fishing village of about 50 people. This place is so remote, it's where the road ends. Yes, there's no need to go any further because this is as far as you need to go. Life here revolves around the sea. Fishing is the backbone of this community, and back in 2016, the Discovery Channel even made a whole series about local entrepreneurs struggling to keep their industry alive. The village has a wooden chapel, a post office, and an eerie end-of-the-world atmosphere. This is definitely a place you go to when you're tired of the sun and you're tired of people, but you really love fish. I actually know someone that fits that bill pretty good, but he's such a jackass, I'm sure the locals would dispose of him one way or another. God, that guy's annoying. What is his name? He used to live down the street from me. I actually watched him kind of gave a shove to one of those bell ringers out in front of the grocery store. Then he kicked their bucket, and I think it hurt his foot because he was limping away. His last name was Russo. Last I heard about him, he got arrested for refusing to move to the side for a fire truck. The fire truck literally pushed him out of the way. He had this old beat up truck, and the fire truck actually pushed him off to the side of the road and kept going. Then he decided to chase him and get in one of the firemen's face when he caught up with him. This man is the definition of what a jerk is. Number 4, Søndre Island. Jutting out into the Greenland Sea is the tiny island of Grimsey. I don't know if you pronounce that right. And it's Iceland's northernmost inhabited place, sitting about 40 kilometers off the mainland. Its only settlement is this one. But if you look for it on a map, this is what they call it. And it's home to about 60 residents, almost all of whom are either fishermen or involved in summer tourism. Despite its isolation, Sandvik isn't entirely cut off. There's a 3-hour ferry and a regular 20-minute flight, making it relatively accessible. Until you realize certain parts of the year, those planes don't fly and that ferry doesn't go. In the summer, they see a handful of adventurous travelers, but in the winter, it transforms into a frozen, white, barren ghost town. If you want to experience true Arctic life, probably fits the bill. Number 3, Inverie, Scotland. Ever want to live somewhere so remote that the only way is by boat or an exhausting 2-day hike? Welcome to Inverie, the most isolated village on mainland Britain, situated on Scotland's Knoydart Peninsula. This off-the-grid community of just 70 people is completely cut off from the UK road network. Your best bet? A half-hour ferry ride across the wild and brooding waters of Loch Nevis. Despite its remoteness, Inverie isn't just a few scattered houses into the wilderness. It has an ultra-luxury lodge, a handful of boat rentals, and a cozy pub called the Old Forge, which holds the Guinness Book of World Record for being the most remote pub in the UK. If you ever want to drink a pint at the edge of the world, head here. Knoydart's rugged scenery attracts hikers and nature lovers who want to escape modern distractions. With zero light pollution, because pretty much it's fireplaces, candles, and torches, the night sky here are nothing short of spectacular. Just don't expect cell service or Wi-Fi, because this place is considered off the grid. Number 2, Vilyuchinsk, Russia. When you think of Russia's most isolated places, your mind probably jumps to Siberia. But one of the country's most extreme settlements is actually in Europe, technically. Vilyuchinsk is a small town that sits deep in the Arctic, far removed from civilization. It was founded in the 19th century as a Russian outpost. Vilyuchinsk later became a major military base. In the 1950s, it became infamous as the site of nuclear testing, including the detonation of the most powerful man-made explosion in the history of the planet. Today, the town is still a restricted military settlement, with most of its 2,700 residents being personnel stationed there. Not only is it freezing most of the year, about 18 degrees Celsius, but polar bears frequently wander into town, scavenging for food. If you somehow manage to get government permission to visit, you'll find a place that's as fascinating as it is harsh. In 2019, they had a problem. They were all over the news because about 50 polar bears decided they were going to start staying in town. They're wandering in apartment buildings. They're all at the trash dump, getting into vacant homes. I watched the video of that. It was crazy. This is right up there in the Arctic Circle on an island, which freezes over half the year. All right, before we get to number 1, let me know which one of these places you found the most fascinating. Leave your comment in the comment section. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Reitjärvi, Finland. That is the only time I'm going to say that because it is hard to say and I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right. If you think some of the other places on this list were remote, this village takes it to another level. Located in the frozen wilderness of northern Finland, this village has no roads, no shops, and barely any permanent residents. In fact, while there are about 10 houses, none are occupied year-round, though at least one person is usually present at any given time. Here, life revolves around reindeer herding, as farming is practically impossible in such an unforgiving climate. Visiting isn't exactly easy either. There are no direct ways to get there. You either ride an ATV or take a dog sled across about 40 kilometers of dirt trail. The closest settlement is over 30 kilometers away, and there's no infrastructure linking the two towns. Despite its inaccessibility, a few brave tourists each year, eager to experience one of the last true wildernesses in Europe, find their way here. If you ever wanted to completely disconnect from the modern world, this might be the best place. I looked at videos of this place and it is like 10,000 reindeer and one dude. All right, that's today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment, give me a big thumbs up. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.